Well, there is currently a light show at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It is a hugely impressive venue with the roof closed this evening because there have been concerns about thunderstorms in the area. We had the threat of thunder and lightning in the earlier game between Palmeiras and Al Ahly, and that game was briefly suspended, but no danger of that this evening as Inter Miami and Porto look for their first win of the campaign, held to goalless draws on match day one. Inter Miami played the very first game of the tournament, Perry, and Javier Mascherano, their coach, who of course we know from his time in England with West Ham and Liverpool, he's been at pains to stress, look, this is an opportunity for us. This is the kind of game we don't normally get to play. We can show how we're progressing.
Yeah, very much so. I think he'd have been pleased with the 0-0 as well, because they conceded in the previous 10 games, even though they looked a little bit open. We said about the goalkeeper Oscar Ustari being outstanding. And let's be honest, from the outside, the MLS is a little bit derided. You know, it's like if you're going there in your retirement, you know, sort of semi-retirement, you have a nice lifestyle, they just get players that are past their best. But that's what the MLS have to do. For them to increase their standard, they've got to up the standard of the average players and the local players that are coming in. So as you said there, Javier Mascherano would be actually saying to his team, this is the world stage, this is what we want to be on. We just see Lionel Messi obviously being introduced to the crowd. You know what I like to see, Kev, when they're coming out, I know, like, if you did it in the Premier League, it'd be quite funny, because you imagine the boos and the songs that we sang. I want to see the referees actually come running out as well.
They get a great reception, I'm sure they would.
There'd be a few referees who would love it, by the way. I think Chris Kavanagh maybe, do you think?
Yeah, it might embrace it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lionel Messi, quite rightly, being given a huge cheer. Porto starting to come out one by one as well, and Samu Agahawa, a really interesting player. He's a Spanish international, just 21. He looks set to join Chelsea a year ago, but that didn't quite happen for him. He ended up coming to Porto. He was made to train on his own at Atletico Madrid, said it was a tough time for him, but eventually did make the move, and he's been stellar for Porto this season. 25 goals in all competitions.
Yeah, I think, and the next to him was 12 with Galeno. Obviously, so they rely heavily on Agahawa, so obviously to hold the ball up, to have a presence in the box. But on the other side of it, I think Martin Anselmi, the Porto manager, he'd have been disappointed, because when you look at the stats, Porto allowed Palmeiras 39 touches in their own penalty box. And that was the most since last October. You know, so he had shored them up a little bit. They finished the season fairly well in Premier Liga, where I think they won 8 out of the last 11 and lost the other 3. So he's sort of trying to implement his own ideas and own philosophies. And as I said, I think he'll just want them to be that little bit tighter at the back.
We know about the Portuguese talent factory. So many excellent players have come through at Porto, at Sporting, at Benfica. And the latest cab off the rank at Porto is 18-year-old Rodrigo Moura. He's a Porto youth product. He made his debut for the Porto B team at just 15, and he is an outstanding prospect. He's been involved in 14 league goals in the season just gone, and he's had some nice touches in this tournament already.
Yeah, you can tell that he's very good technically. It'll be interesting to see where he plays at the top of the diamond, what obviously Porto like to do, or he might play to the right-hand side. But I think their system is very fluid when they're in possession, you know, so there'll be a lot of interchanging and movement from those 4 midfield players. But up front, as I said, Agahawa will be the one they'll look to make sure that he has to hold the ball up. And it was interesting when we heard about Fabio Vieira actually getting, was it 7 bookings?
Yeah.
And it was like, I never saw that at Arsenal. Never saw that. So maybe, because he's obviously on loan, maybe that they've said you need, for the Premier League, he struggled with the physicality. And maybe they've said to him, and you know, it's not coincidence that we need you to be more physical out of possession. We need you to go and win the ball more, get more tackles in. So maybe he's taken that on board, and he's trying to obviously show Mikel Arteta, you know, look, I'm trying to implement what you've asked me to do, because there's no doubt in his ability. He's got fantastic balance. Gets it onto his left foot. He can be very creative, but that was the one thing that he really struggled with. Well,
of course, it is a game that means so very much to both clubs, because Porto and Inter Miami are on 1 point apiece. Defeat would leave them needing a matchday 3 miracle, really, but a victory would take them to within touching distance of the last 16. The stadium by no means full, but it is an enormous stadium, so it would have taken some doing. The record crowd is in the high 70,000s, so by no means that, but certainly it looks a lot fuller than it did for the game against Chelsea, between Chelsea and LAFC. And the truth is, Perry, that this is a tournament in its own right, but there is an element of dress rehearsal for next year's World Cup as well.
Very much so. Obviously, they're just testing out all of the stadiums. This Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where Inter Miami played, I think, about 3 months ago, they beat Atlanta 2-1. So obviously, they've got good memories about coming here. And you mentioned about the roof obviously being closed, because you mentioned about the weather in the Palmeiras Al Ahly game, where they got taken off because there was going to be like thunder, lightning and heavy downpour rain, and it didn't happen. So the organisers, they probably were praying for rain, so it made them look like they made the right decision. So putting the roof over, and that'll help the players as well, you know, because it's going to the ball will be very, very true. There's not going to be any wind whatsoever, so I think we should get a very highly technical game this evening.
Underway in Atlanta here on Talksport 2, live commentary from the FIFA Club World Cup. The first time the tournament has been expanded in this way. 32 teams will be halved to 16 for the knockout rounds, and both of these two, Inter Miami and Porto, drew 0-0 in their opening matches. Inter Miami held by the Egyptian side Al Ahly on opening night. Porto drawing 0-0 with Palmeiras. Both teams will want improved performances in Atlanta. Here is the big centre forward, the number 9 for Porto, Samu Agihawa, but he's lost possession. And now Inter Miami looking to break from their own defensive third. They swing it across to Marcelo Weigand, who's one of 2 players who's come in to the starting 11 for this one. The other, Benya Kramaski, who is a young midfielder who's seen as a bit of a rising star. He's only 20. Kramaski, a US youth international. Here's Weigand being pressed by Francisco Moura. And they found Talasco Segovia skipping into the centre circle for Inter Miami, all in pink, that kit that has sold so often around the world. Helps shirt sales if you've got Lionel Messi as part of your squad, of course. And here is the great man now, the number 10, onto his left foot. That buzz in the stadium, chips it into the area. Suarez with the shot on the stretch, and it's kicked away by Claudio Ramos, the goalkeeper, and the ball squirts behind. But the first glimpse of that Messi magic. Yeah,
very much so. We said, Kev, we wondered obviously if Suarez would be the focal point and stay up front. We've seen that already with Lionel Messi. That actually started, Kev, when Inter Miami had the ball in their right back position. Frey did brilliantly because he was under a bit of pressure, had a good spin, then he got it into Busquets into Messi. Great little ball from Lionel Messi. It just looked like on the replay that Suarez might have just been offside, but he should be going with his left foot instead of his outside of his right foot. But really good build-up play from Inter Miami, with Messi actually floating and just going laterally across the pitch so he can find those little holes.
Remarkably, Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez played in the final of the Club World Cup 10 years ago for Barcelona against River Plate. Still going, Sergio Busquets, part of that squad. He's in the midfield. Jordi Alba, part of that squad. He's on the bench for this one. He's come back from a hamstring injury, but not fully fit. Here is Messi on halfway. Swift turn, and he feeds the ball to Weigand on the right-hand side. Forward it goes to Agende. And the attack breaks down on that right-hand side. We're going to see a lot of interchanges on the right. Tadeo Agende and Messi do tend to interchange a lot. When Messi comes into the middle, Agende goes wide and vice versa.
Yeah, we saw there with Agende and Weigand. Good interplay as well, and a couple of times Weigand's had the ball. The first look he's had, Kev, is to go forward. So you could just see that Javier Mascherano, the Inter Miami manager, wants them to play with a bit of intensity, which they have when they've had the ball. They've looked to get it forward. Busquets has had a couple of touches just at the base of the midfield. So it's been a good start from Inter Miami.
Porto in their traditional blue and white, playing from right to left as we look at it in this first half, and they've given away possession. Here's Messi, and he squeezes it through. Suarez on the move, but the goalkeeper again, Claudio Ramos, judged the danger, came flying out and smothered the ball.
Well, at the moment, Porto are not picking up Lionel Messi. Even for 5 minutes, maybe someone should go man-to-man. Maybe Varela should go and pick him up. Good starting position there from Claudio Ramos. The FC Porto goalkeeper just come out and smothered the ball.
Lovely switch by Fabio Vieira on loan from Arsenal, and then there was a challenge right on the edge of the area. The Porto player down in the box, and the referee unmoved as wave play on, but I wonder if that's going to be coming back as Segovia plays it out to the left-hand side for Inter Miami. Suarez has come a little bit deeper, about 20 yards out inside left channel. Now Messi, inside right channel, works it in field, gets it back away from Rodrigo Moura, and then plays an angle ball to the edge of the area. That's cleared, and now Rodrigo Moura tries to bring it away for Porto.
I just seeing things there, Kev, because it looked like it was Alan, the Inter Miami left back, who committed the foul, and as he was running off, he actually was doing he should be yellow carded signal as he was running, and the
making
ball
out with simulation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so he's actually asking for a yellow card in free play, but then he still managed to get himself in the left wing position. So we're just looking at the replay again, and to be fair, he has got a point.
Contact.
Yeah, but I think that with João Mario, there's nowhere near enough contact there for it to be a penalty.
The referee's going to go and have a look here.
Well, that means it's going to be a penalty.
That's usually how it goes. The referee is coming across to the monitor. There was contact between João Mario and the Inter Miami left-back Noah Allen. He chopped in field, João Mario, and he's just trodden on his boot there, and he does get nowhere near the ball, so all eyes on the referee here.
After on-field review, the defender number 32 commit foul with tripping. Final decision is penalty kick.
So as you hear, the penalty is given. Noah Allen's the offender, and his request for João Mario to be booked for simulation fell on deaf ears, and it's got worse for him because Porto now have a golden opportunity to make it 1-0.
In this country, it would be referee's call, I think, because there was minimal contact. See there, Allen's foot actually went on the top of João Mario's boot, and as the players do these days, any little bit of contact, they go down. So maybe Allen was just trying to fool the referee to say that there was no contact whatsoever. So the VAR, João Lara, obviously has got involved and said to Christian Gary, come and have a look. And we know, Kev, as soon as he starts walking over, it's going to be a penalty.
That was it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think Noah Allen probably knew himself, because asking for the yellow card for simulation felt like panic to me. Now, Inter Miami survived a penalty in their opening game as Oscar Ustari made a stop against Al Ahly. Samu Agihawa, who scored twice against Manchester United in the Europa League last season, he has the responsibility. Hands on hips, that gold number 9 on his back. It'll be Samu Agihawa against 38-year-old Oscar Ustari, who will come out on top here. Deep breath for Samu Agihawa, the Spanish international. He steps up, right foot shot and goes in, and Porto have the opener. Ustari got a big right hand to it, couldn't keep it out. And Messi's men are in a hole early on. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1.
That was really unlucky from Oscar Ustari there, the Inter Miami goalkeeper, because obviously he read Aguilar the way that he was going to go. But from Aguilar's point of view, Kev, he made sure that he had a lot of purchase on it. He made sure that he actually, with his side foot, he went right through the ball, because if he doesn't hit it firmly, then Ustari saves it, because we see there, he's actually gone underneath his right forearm. So the goalkeeper was really unlucky. Aguilar just keeps his cool, keeps his composure, and puts FC Porto 1-0 up.
It's worth bearing in mind what that does to the picture in Group A, because Palmeiras did beat Al Ahly earlier today 2-0. That means they're top of the group right now. Porto, as things stand, would go level on points with Palmeiras at the top of Group A, and it would leave Inter Miami needing to win their final game against Palmeiras to have a chance of going through. Here is Maximiliano Falcone, the long-haired centre-back for Inter Miami. They're not exactly going great guns in MLS at the moment. Inter currently 6th place in the Eastern Conference. They went into this tournament on a run of 2 wins in 6. There was a players' meeting which was led by Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi to try and improve things. Javier Mascherano, the coach of Inter Miami, has been criticised in the media at times, as Rodrigo Moura, the bright young thing of Porto football, is left in a heap. Free kick.
Rodrigo Moura just getting himself on the half turn, getting the ball in first. You can see Javier Mascherano, the Inter Miami manager, is not very happy, having a sort of word with the referee, saying he thinks that he's giving too many fouls. There's no contact.
The referee's just come to speak to Mascherano, just try and calm him down. Mascherano did say his team were too anxious in the first half of the draw against Al Ahly. Said they gave the ball away far too cheaply. Felt they improved in the second half, had more space to play. Players were more calm.
We're just looking at Inter Miami, their team shape out of the ball, going to a 4-3-3. Obviously, we've said Suarez through the middle, Lionel Messi on the right-hand side.
Here's Gabri Veiga away down the right-hand side for Porto. Players to aim for in the middle. It was hooked away by Kramaski, and had to be, because Porto were queuing up in the centre there. Gabri Veiga, who came to prominence in Spain with Celta Vigo, then went to Saudi Arabia, won the Asian Champions League with Al Ahly out there, and said that even though he knew people in Spain didn't necessarily understand the young player going to Saudi, he felt it was the right move for him. There was a gasp there as Ustari was sold short by a back pass, but he got away with it and dug his teammates out of trouble there, really. 11 minutes gone here on Talksport 2. FIFA Club World Cup live, and it is Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. An 8th minute penalty from Samu Aguilar.
Well, you said about Mascherano thinking that Inter Miami look a little bit nervous in the first game. Playing out from the back, they don't look particularly comfortable. And it was Rodrigo Moura who nearly just nipped him. I think if he had a little bit more conviction, he would have just nicked it in front of Ustari. But he sort of stopped and saw that Ustari was just a little bit bigger than him. So he thought, right, you can have it.
Javier Mascherano, the player who reached the Champions League final with Liverpool. He won everything there was to win at Barcelona. As a coach, he had a disappointing Olympics with Argentina, as a much-fancied under-23 side went out in the quarter-finals. He got this job in November, replaced the veteran Tata Martino. Inter Miami did win the MLS Supporters Shield last season. That's what you get if you finish top of the regular season with the best regular season record, but they went out in the first round of the playoffs, which is why it was somewhat controversial that they were selected for the Club World Cup lineup. But again, it helps if you have Lionel Messi in the squad.
Well, I think they might have even told him to play for the Lionel Messi Cup if they couldn't have got him in it. They tried their best to get Cristiano Ronaldo, didn't they, to swap sides, but it's quite funny actually. The Saudi Arabian chief executive of the Saudi Pro League there, he actually said do people think that we're made of money and we print money? And we think, well, actually, mate, yes, you are.
I think that is the general feeling.
Exactly.
There's a bit of a clash here between Samu and an opponent. And the referee, Mr. Garay, coming across to firefight again. It's been a tetchy start to the game, hasn't it?
Yep, well, we thought that, it would be a little bit more intense, it'll be a little bit more physical, because both these teams know that if they win this game, then basically they're in the last 16, the pressure's off a little bit. And even though Inter Miami, they started off the better team in the first sort of 5 to 8 minutes, obviously it's FC Porto have got themselves in front.
Inter Miami would have a route back if they lose this game, but can't afford to lose it by a lot. And it would need them to beat Palmeiras, which is not going to be an easy thing to do. Little chase here for Francisco Moura down the left for Porto, taking on Weigand, and ran out of real estate, and it ends up being a goal kick for Inter Miami. You are listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport 2, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up at dazn.com. Here is Messi dropping deep, plays it to Busquets, and now Segovia out to the left-hand side, and then Suarez back to Falcone. Just is a little laboured at times from Inter Miami going forward. There's some nice one-touch passing, but they've lacked bursts of pace in that team at times. But the ball now swung from left to right to find Weigand, and Weigand in to Messi. Messi clips it forward now, and a bit of room for Kramaski, right edge of the penalty area. Just takes his time, a curling cross towards the far post, and he's overhit it, and actually I think that ball's curled out and then curled back in maybe. But Kramaski at least finding some space down the right.
Yeah, Leo Messi again dropping in that sort of 10 position, just getting onto his left foot, lovely little dink pass to Kramaski, and he's actually tried to get in behind the FC Porto back three, and he's got himself to the byline, couldn't quite find that little bit of quality with the cross, which I think that's what's happened with Inter Miami in this first 15 minutes, Kev. Their build-up play has been quite good, but got into the final third, and then it's just broken down a little bit too easy.
Quarter of an hour gone. And it is Inter Miami 0, Porto 1 in Atlanta. Samu Agihauer's penalty, the difference so far. Here is Ivan Marcano, 37 now, 267th appearance for Porto. Man who has had a very impressive career at European club level, but has never actually played for Spain at international level. Here is Samu Agihauer, but he gives that away cheaply to Segovia, and Segovia racing down the left. He wanted a little 1-2 with Suarez, but Suarez was dragged to the floor by Alan Varela, and that's going to be a free kick to Inter Miami.
Yeah, just a little bit too impetuous there from Varela. Earlier on, it was a really good switch of play there from Meccano, just on that sort of left-hand side of the FC Porto back three, just switching out to João Mario on that right-hand side, but then it just broke down a little bit too easy when it coming into Agihauer, where he's got to make sure that he holds it up.
There is Falcone, former Uruguay youth international. He's 28 now. He had some shaky moments in that tournament opener against Al Ahly. He was caught out of position on numerous occasions, especially in the first half. Gorgeous turn by Messi, skipping away from Varela, who's still looking for him, I think. And now Messi in the inside left channel, 30 yards from goal. He works it to Allen, who's trying to get forward as much as he can on that left-hand side. We've seen Agende go out there as well. There is Samu, though. Porto have won it back, but Samu can't keep it. Dispossessed by Busquets.
Just had a little example there of that little bit of lack of quality when it come into Segovia. Then he loses control, loses possession. That completely takes the impetus out of Inter Miami's attack.
Suarez couldn't keep possession there, dispossessed by the right-sided centre-back Martin Fernandez. He's only 19, Fernandez. They've got some good youngsters in this side, Porto. They finished the domestic season pretty well. A run of 5 wins in 6, but ultimately finished 11 points behind the champion Sporting. Sporting managed to recover from the mid-season defection of Ruben Amorim to Manchester United. Martin El-Selmi took over Porto mid-season, went in January. Here is Messi, onto a loose ball, away from Varela again. He's got Suarez ahead of him, and he's found Luis Suarez. Left foot shot, saved brilliantly. Claudio Ramos to Porto's rescue again. A clear sight of goal for Luis Suarez. He has his head in his hands. He couldn't take advantage.
And he knows that he should have scored. That all started because Meccano just gave the ball away very sloppily.
Now at the other end, the Inter goalkeeper Ustari was a long way out of his penalty area. Falcone had to dig him out of jail. I think there's an offside given against Porto, but it's all happening all of a sudden.
Yeah, it's got a good temperature. And we say Porto just give the ball away. Fantastic little ball from Messi with the outside of his left foot into the path of Suarez. Claudio Ramos, the Porto goalkeeper, does really well. He comes up the big Peter Schmeichel starfish shape. I think maybe with Suarez he needs to dink it just a little bit more. So he's just tried to dink it, but he's dinked it straight at Claudio Ramos. It's a couple of times that they've had little 1v1 situations. At the moment, Claudio Ramos has come out on top.
Those two, Suarez and Messi, have been going great guns in MLS. Personally, Messi with 10 goals and 5 assists in just 13 MLS games this season. Luis Suarez with 5 goals and 7 assists. So they are both delivering at MLS level, but of course this is a step up. Nearly 20 minutes gone in Atlanta. It is Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. And it is the Primera Liga side who have the advantage. Here is Marcano midway inside his own half for Porto. Just gliding infield, and he allows Alan Varela to take it. Player who was signed from Boca Juniors. He was linked with Liverpool at one stage, Alan Varela.
Yeah, we'll just see again Inter Miami going into that 4-3-3 shape out of possession. Segovia going on that left-hand side, Messi on the right, Suarez through the middle, just letting Porto have the ball, and they've just given it away cheaply again.
Messi on the move, down the right-hand side, cuts in on his left foot, tries to play the reverse to Luis Suarez, who I think had run offside anyway. And Porto clear long, looking for Samu, and he's going to get there. Samu Agawa. He's got Frey for company. Frey's had to come out to the touchline with him, and Samu just bounced him away. Must have been like Frey had run into a brick wall there. And here is Fabio Vieira. He doesn't really want to talk about his future, Fabio Vieira, on loan from Arsenal. No indication yet about whether he prolong his second spell as a Porto player. And you felt he struggled with the physicality of the Premier League.
Yeah, you could tell when I watched him play that there was a very gifted technical player in there. And just even looking at his body language tonight, where he's drifting into the obviously centre midfield areas, he just looked a little bit more confident. He's had once where he dropped deep and he just tried to help it over top for Samu to run onto. I don't think he plays that pass when he's playing for Arsenal, because I think he's frightened of giving the ball away because he knows he's being judged on every pass. I just think he looks a little bit more relaxed at the moment.
Here is Talasco Segovia. Inside right channel, played it through for Weigand, but it was a bouncy first touch from Weigand, and the goalkeeper again, Claudio Ramos, able to come out and sweep that up.
Yeah, Segovia doing really well, coming in from that left-hand side, just getting in that little pocket. Again, it's just that little bit of quality. Weigand made a good run on the right-hand side, but all Segovia's got to do, Kev, is just roll it into his path. And what he's tried to is actually try to pass it to him and just trying to put it into the space. So they've had really good moments, in Porto's final third, but it's just a little bit scrappy and untidy in their last pass or last cross.
The voice there of the former Arsenal star Perry Groves alongside Kevin Hatchard for this one. 23rd minute in Atlanta. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. Porto are not through if they win tonight, and Inter Miami are not out. But Lionel Messi's team would have a lot of work to do were they to lose this game. Earlier today, Palmeiras beat Al Ahly 2-0. They were the first goals we'd had in Group A. And now we've had a goal in this one as Ustari plays it forward towards Busquets, who came deep and plays that ball around the corner to Frey, who played a right back in the opener. He came off at half-time in that opening game, but he's been deployed at centre-back tonight.
Yeah, we see Inter Miami there, the two centre-halves splitting, Falcon going on the left-hand side and Frey coming on that right-hand side.
Long ball towards Suarez, but free kick given in Porto's favour. It was Agende who made the challenge. He's just remonstrating with the referee. But Porto have given Lionel Messi more space than Al Ahly gave him, certainly in the first half of that opening game. He got a bit more space in the second half, but it feels like he's getting an easier ride this time around.
I know that there's obviously all the stats and algorithms now that they do. I'd have thought that individually Messi's probably had more touches than any other outfield player on the pitch, and he just looks like he's enjoying himself. And I just think there's too much of a gap in the Porto midfield. Obviously Varela's the one who's playing at the base, so it's whether they say to him, wherever Messi goes and you go with him, but then he leaves another hole there. So maybe the three centre halves, there was Pedro, Meccano and Fernandez, are just saying to Varela, you stay there, it doesn't matter where Messi goes.
Rodrigo Moura shoved over, but the referee says play on. Fabio Vieira, the little ball with the outside of his boot for Porto, finding Zé Pedro just to the right of the centre circle. Here come Porto down the right flank, the far side as we look at it, but they run out of room, and that's going to be an Inter Miami throw. Over on Talksport right now, rugby is the focus with the British and Irish Lions preview. We'll have live and exclusive commentary of the Lions tour to Australia with former England and Australia coach Eddie Jones part of our team. Headed forward here by Francisco Moura to Rodrigo Moura. Gorgeous touch to find Samu Agihawa on the edge of the penalty area, but the attack breaks down. But the stadium still buzzing after that touch from Moura. And here is Agihawa in the penalty area. He can't get the better of Frey, who stood up really well against him. And the ball ran loose and Ustari able to pick it up. But that was a lovely touch from Rodrigo Moura.
Yeah, great touch from Rodrigo Moura, and then it came to Fabio Vieira. Great little reverse pass, no look pass with his left foot into Agihawa. He's just trying to turn Frey, maybe trying to nutmeg him. Probably should have gone on the outside of him. To be fair to Frey, I've been very impressed with him so far, Kev. You know, when you watch a player in the game in real time, he just looks very composed, looks very good physically, doesn't panic when he's on the ball.
Fabio Vieira shifts it to Alan Varela. Back to Fabio Vieira, works it to the left-hand side, and Francisco Moura. Francisco Moura, who joined from Famalicão last year. He just works it to Rodrigo Moura, another back heel. Francisco Moura's cross, nobody coming in. There was only Agihawa at the back of the penalty area, and nobody attacking that cross.
That's a great cross in from Francisco Moura with his left foot, just whipping it across 6-yard box. Agihawa will stand on the edge of the 18-yard box where he's the one who should be in between the posts. If he is, it's a tap-in.
Here's Lionel Messi. Slides it down the inside right channel looking for Kramaski. And that necessitated a sliding challenge by Ivan Marcano. 27th minute, Inter Miami 0, Porto 1 at the Club World Cup in Atlanta. Weigand finding Busquets. Forward to Segovia, back to Busquets, who just drifted almost lazily into the path of Messi. Right edge of the penalty area, left-footed curling cross, and that's comfortable for Claudio Ramos. He almost got stuck between the cross and the shot there, Messi, and in the end, it was an open invitation for the goalkeeper.
Yeah, we just saw there Rodrigo Moura making sure that he's getting back in front of Marcano, like doubling up on Lionel Messi. Just a little bit too floated, you know, the right idea, just trying to whip it into that area in between 6-yard box and the penalty spot. So just a little bit too much levitation on it, and Claudio Ramos just collects it quite easily. Just looking at him, we talk about Fabio Vieira, and just looking at him, obviously he's looking to be the playmaker. You know, he's the conductor with the baton, and looks like he's been given a little bit of a free role in that midfield area, and he's actually enjoying it.
Yeah, he's the silk and Varela is the steel, really, in that midfield, and Messi upended there in the centre circle. It was a rather agricultural effort to win that ball, truth be told. Messi doesn't complain too much. Javier Mascherano in his black t-shirt and blue trousers, looking increasingly frustrated on the edge of that technical area, the Inter Miami coach.
just looking at Lionel Messi there. I think he can come into my ginger squad. I'm just looking, he's got a little bit of ginger on his beard, isn't he? So I think he can actually be an honorary member.
He'll be thrilled. Will there be a ceremony?
Yes, what we'll do, we'll have a ginger 11. Actually, we won't play out in the heat in Miami or Florida because it's not conducive for gingers out there. So,
you're a winter team.
Yeah, I think we'll have to play somewhere in Northern Europe.
I think that's entirely fair. Off to Iceland you go. Here they come. Down the left-hand side, Porto trying to find Rodrigo Mora. It was overhit, though, the attempt to find him. And it was swept up pretty confidently by Inter Miami. And now Kramaski works it to Segovia. Long dark hair flowing behind him. He tried to play it down the centre, and that's cleared by Porto, and it comes to Fabio Vieira wearing number 10. Came to Arsenal with a big reputation, but of course Martin Ødegaard very much ahead of him in the pecking order. But it was a surprise that they let both Fabio Vieira and Emile Smith-Rowe go in the same summer. Porto nearly gave the ball away in their own half there. Suarez was trying to sense blood in the water but couldn't quite get there. We are ticking towards the half-hour mark here on Talksport 2. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. The early penalty from Samu Agihawa, man who scored 25 goals in all competitions in the season just gone. I think we just about call it last season now. It's all very confusing. Here's Rodrigo Mora just trying to step away from the challenge of Frey. And as you said, Perry, he's not messing about, Ian Frey.
No, he's been very, very impressive. Maybe there, when it comes into Rodrigo Mora, it's just a little over because Aguilar is standing behind him. Maybe they just need to communicate a little bit better. But Frey decided actually to get into the fray and impose himself physically.
Porto did find the opener tough against Palmeiras, drew it 0-0. The Brazilian side had more possession, more shots on target. Martin Anselmi defended his players, said there are no easy games in the group, nobody wants to give anything away. Ball play forward to Agihawa here, and he works it to Rodrigo Mora, left edge of the penalty area for Porto. Onto his right foot, waiting for support to arrive, little back heel, Francisco Mora's cross, and that's hacked away. Ball still spinning in the penalty area though, and eventually dealt with by Weigand. Clears up towards Agende. And now Messi works it in field to Busquets, but that was a bit of a scare for Inter Miami.
Yeah, good play. Link up play on the left-hand side over the two Moras. In the end, it was Francisco Mora who got himself free. I think, again, he just has to have a bit better quality. He's tried to whip it across 6-yard box, maybe. Just needs to get a little bit more height in it and try and if he can just chip it up for Aguilar on the far post. But there's been a good flow to the game, Kev, hasn't there? The intensity's been really good. Both teams have come out. Both teams want to be on the front foot. You know, sometimes you get, possession stats where the teams keep possession, they don't actually go anywhere. You can tell with both teams, especially obviously Messi getting himself on the ball for Inter Miami and Fabio Vieira for Porto, that they want to go forward.
Feels like a game that they know they could do with winning, having drawn their opening match. Here is Fabio Vieira again, dropping into that deeper area, and he swings it beautifully to João Mario on the far side, the right. And then across towards Agihawa, who couldn't reach it. It's come out to Francisco Mora just inside the area. Cuts it back. The shot came in from Gabri Veiga. And the whistle has gone. Agihawa is sat down on his backside on the edge of the 6-yard box and has his arms outstretched. I think the decision has got against him second time around. But Porto starting to look really dangerous, Perry.
Yeah, I think Veiga did really well there because Agihawa was where he should be as a centre forward in between the posts. Veiga realises that he was on the wrong side of him, but he just got his arms around him just to put him off balance. And then Agihawa couldn't get himself to the ball.
Like other Portuguese giants like Benfica and Sporting, Porto used to developing talent, selling it on, but they've lost half a team in the last 2 years. Evan Nielsen went to Bournemouth. They sold Nico Gonzalez to Manchester City. And here comes Rodrigo Mora, one of their brightest sparks, but he runs out of real estate and the ball just bounces off his shin and goes all the way through to Ustari.
Do you think any of the Inter Miami players would just give Lionel Messi a rollick in there because he's giving the ball away?
I would be surprised.
Was it be a little clap? We'd be unlucky, Lionel.
Yeah.
Next time, maybe.
I think he gets a bit more slack than
A little
most.
bit more leeway.
Yeah, just a bit. Kramaski finding Messi midway inside the Porto half, and he's given that away. And now Agahawa can bring it clear for Porto, so just a ragged minute or so for Lionel Messi.
You know what happens, Kev, is like obviously one of the best players the game's seen. You start to get a little bit frustrated because
Ball slipped through towards Agahawa, but it was too strong, and Ustari claims.
the players aren't on your level. So then what you try and do is then you try and force things and you try and make them see the pass that you want to give, where maybe at the moment it's only really Suarez is on his wavelength. So you can understand sort of his frustration. But there's been no lack of effort or endeavour because he's wanting to get himself on the ball. Now he's just dropping that midfield. It just looks like that Martin Aselmi, the Porto manager, has said whoever the nearest player is to Lionel Messi, you have to go and engage him. You can't give him that much space what he had in that first 20 minutes.
He had far too much room for manoeuvre in the opening exchanges. Here is Falcone, who rolls it to Suarez. Suarez with the instant layoff, but it wasn't the best layoff to Busquets. But if anybody can deal with a dodgy layoff, it's Busquets.
We're just seeing like Messi, getting that midfield area. It's either Fabio Vieira or Varela. They're talking to each other. Whoever's the nearest players to him just goes and stands on him.
Ball works out to Agende. Plays it in towards Suarez, who let it run. Here is Kramaski with the right foot shot. Kicked away by Claudio Ramos. It was a low angle drive from Kramaski, and the goalkeeper reacted sharply. Into Miami on the attack again. Messi clips it towards the penalty area, but it's half cleared by Martin. And now Porto able to win a throw on that far side, but Inter Miami starting to make things happen and opening up that Porto rearguard.
When we said that about that just lack of quality, when it comes out to Kramaski, he finds himself completely unmarked. He takes too many touches. There he should be hitting it. He takes an extra touch. That makes him go a little bit wider. Then he scuffs it. In the end, it's an easy save for Claudio Ramos. But as it's coming across to him, Kev, players of the top quality, they take one touch out of their feet, then they get their shot away. So he's taken an extra touch that enables then Porto to go and close him down. Then he panics to get his shot in. In the end, it's a simple save for Claudio Ramos.
He's a player that's only 20, Benha Kramaski, but he's got just the one goal in MLS this season. He's packed a lot in. It's his 91st Inter Miami appearance in Atlanta this evening. There's still a lot to learn. Here is Agende. He's trying to play it through towards that penalty area, towards Luis Suarez, who's getting a bit frustrated himself. Luis Suarez. He tries to take a ball on his chest on the edge of the area and he bursts through, but free kick's been given against him for the foul on Varela. Varela tracked him all the way, and it's a free kick with the score still. Into Miami 0, Porto 1.
Yeah, that's really good play from Varela. Obviously, he's the defensive midfield player for FC Porto, just making sure that follows the run of Luis Suarez. Suarez there, obviously getting a bit frustrated, where really you should just let Varela have the ball because he's facing his own goal. He ain't going anywhere. The thing that he wants you to do is put your arms on him and pull him down.
Claudio Ramos, the 33-year-old goalkeeper for Porto, was excellent in their first game against Palmeiras. He's stood out again so far in this game. A number of important stops. And he's deputising for Portuguese international goalkeeper Diogo Costa, who's not fully fit. He's just won the Nations League with his country. It's Fabio Vieira, left foot shot from range, and he got right underneath it, and the ball sails over the crossbar.
Didn't really have the courage of his convictions. Fabio Vieira just picking the ball up on the edge of the 18-yard box. It's the right idea, but wrong execution. He's got to put his foot through it. In the end, he's just tried to bend it with his instep with his left foot over to Oscar Ustari's left-hand corner. Ends up just skying it over the crossbar.
I mentioned earlier those Porto players who come to the Premier League. They lost Otavio and Galeno to Saudi Arabian football as well. Francisco Conceição moved to Juventus. Of course, the defensive legend Pepe retired.
I think it was the first season since 2016-2017, wasn't it, last season, that they played without Pepe?
Unbelievable. And he's
How
now
old was he, 52?
not quite, but he's not decided to quit physical activity. He's been doing long bike rides. He's been entering races. Forward by Messi here, but that was straight onto the chest of Martin. And now Rodrigo Mora sweeps it out to the right-hand side, and Gabri Veiga back to the right wing, and now they're working in field to Fabio Vieira. Really is running the midfield for Porto at the moment. Francisco Mora down the left, and now Ivan Marcano overlapping. It's come to Rodrigo Mora, great turn, still going, cleared off the line by Falcone. Goalkeeper was beaten, the big centre-back was not, and Rodrigo Mora is denied.
Rodrigo Mora actually thought it put FC Porto 2-0 up. Fantastic defensive play from Falcon on line behind his goalkeeper. Now just getting a little bit fractious.
And Falcone is at the heart of that. There's a lot of pushing and shoving, but not really much to it. Francisco Mora being beckoned across by the referee, but it was a super move that included a rumbling run by Ivan Marcano, the big centre-back on the left-hand side.
Yeah, he's coming a bit like Sheffield United on that inverted inside left from the left-sided defensive position. It's really good play actually from Higuawa, just a little flick inside for Rodrigo Mora. I thought at first maybe he should take it first time, but then he obviously got himself turned. Then he just thinks because he's beaten Ustari that he scored. Really good defensive play from Falcon, just making sure that he's backing his goalkeeper up.
I've just seen another angle actually on our monitors, and I just wonder whether Ustari got a bit of a touch to that. Falcone was right behind him, and it looked as though initially Ustari had been beaten. I wonder if he got across there actually. He was able to get a piece of that, but either way, Inter Miami have survived, and that feels like a really big moment in the game, because 2-0 before half-time, and suddenly that is a mountain to climb for Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. Bit of space here for Busquets, the number 5. What a titan of world football he's been. Not just at club level with Barcelona, but won 143 caps for Spain. Played 722 times for Barcelona. Sergio Busquets. Header here from Kramaski down the right-hand side. Finds Weigand for Inter Miami, who've had their moments, but every time they're broken through, they found the Porto keeper, Claudio Ramos, in their way. 41st minute here on Talksport 2, live Club World Cup commentary. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. Samu Aguihawa's early penalty, still the difference between the teams. Here is Francisco Mora breaking forward from the left-back zone for Porto. Just checks and rolls it back to Marcano. That's the benefit of having 3 centre-backs, isn't it? You can get one of the wide centre-backs to join in with the attack.
Yeah, very much so, especially if you're pushing your sort of wing-backs, and Francisco Mora's given natural width on this left-hand side, so he keeps that width. That enables Marcano then just to drift into that area, and they just create a little bit of an overload.
It's interesting, we barely mentioned Joao Mario on the right-hand side, although it was he who won the penalty early on. Here's Messi skipping towards the edge of the D for Inter Miami. There's a buzz around the Mercedes-Benz Stadium every time he gets the ball, but on that occasion he was met by a blue and white wall and there was no way through. Here's Fabio Vieira skipping away from the challenge of Weigand, and then he's dispossessed by Agende. And now Segovia inside left channel, midway inside the Porto half for Inter Miami. Here's Kramaski, rolls it to Busquets. Busquets assesses his options, plays a lovely ball to Segovia towards Messi. That's really well swept up though by Marcano. Read the danger.
Just saw there, Kev, that Lionel Messi's not getting that space what he got in that first 20-25 minutes. Just saw Fabio Vieira just look over his shoulder just to make sure he cuts off that line into Messi. And even before that, when he beat the first man, it was like a collective responsibility, wasn't it? He ran into 5 FC Porto bodies.
Here's Agahawa taking them on. It's a surging run. Agahawa's shot, brilliant save by Ustari. Stood up really strong and made the block. But that was a sensational run by Samu Agahawa. They could not stop him, and the left foot shot blocked by the goalkeeper.
Yeah, it was just brilliant play from Agahawa. 1v1 with Frey. Frey just trying to ease him on the outside. Agahawa just got too much strength, too much pace, gets it onto his left foot. Really good save from Oscar Ustara at his near post again, making sure he's getting his angles right. Just stood up nice and big. That's exactly where Agahawa wants Frey or Falcon. He wants some 1v1s in the wide areas, wants them isolated.
It was like a boulder running downhill there, Samu Agahawa, but Ustari able to make the save. Agahawa admits it was a really tough time last summer when his move to Chelsea collapsed. Here is Rodrigo Mora, finds Agahawa, edge of the area, onto his right foot, back to Rodrigo Mora, lays it off, Varela with the shot, hits the post, it hits the goalkeeper, and looked for a moment like it would spin in, but Ustari gratefully grabs the ball. Alan Varela so close to 2-0.
Yeah, really good strike from Varela, just making sure, just putting his foot through the ball with his laces, beats Ustari, all ends up, comes back off the post, and sometimes you see them ricochet back off the goalkeeper's head and just roll over the line. Thankfully for Ustari, there wasn't enough pace on the ball, just hit him in the back. He's able to just obviously put his body on top of it. But again, we just saw the difference in that final third with the quality of FC Porto, with the way that they move the ball. They pick the right options and they always get their shot off. They get a shot on target, where that's not been happening with Miami.
Suarez turning on the edge of the area for Inter Miami, but he couldn't force it into the box, and Porto able to bring it clear. Some nifty footwork there from Gabri Veiga in midfield. That's opened up space for the number 10, Fabio Vieira, who's been excellent in this first half. We're ticking towards stoppage time here on Talksport 2. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. And Porto have come close to making it 2-0. And they've had a Rodrigo Mora shot brilliantly blocked, whether by goalkeeper or defender or both. And they've also struck the woodwork. But Inter Miami have had their moments too. We'll have just the 2 minutes of additional time. We're into the first of those. Because the roof is closed, there's no hydration break. Ball just got away from Gabri Veiga. Vega's been floating around as part of that front three. It's been quite fluid, hasn't it, behind Agahawa?
Yeah, very much so. It's Veiga. Obviously, we thought it'd be on the left-hand side, but predominantly he's been on that right-hand side. Rodrigo Mora drifting more out to the left, but then he just makes sure if it goes into Agahawa, he goes and supports him.
Here's Agende trying to force it infield for Inter Miami, but he ran out of room and gave away the free kick. Porto did struggle last summer to cope with the loss of their long-serving coach Sergio Conceição. His replacement, Vitor Bruno, who had been his assistant, only lasted 29 games in all competitions before he got the push. It often goes that way, doesn't it, that you have an assistant coach that knows the players, knows the club, and you think, well, it should work, shouldn't it? And then actually it doesn't.
Comes down to authority. It's very, very difficult to turn yourself from the coach's job is the link between the manager and the players, and you'll be probably on more friendly terms what the manager is, and all of a sudden then you have to go to be the headmaster. Very, very difficult. And I think since Martin Anselmi's come in, they played 19, won 10, lost 4, so he's got a 52% win rate. So that's not bad to someone who comes in sort of mid-season.
Well, they've looked the better team so far in Atlanta, and we're ticking towards half-time, and that is indeed half-time. And Lionel Messi and Inter Miami are up against it here. Samu Agahawa's penalty in the 8th minute separates the sides, but they could have gone further in front. The Portuguese giants, Alan Varela, has struck the post. Rodrigo Mora brilliantly denied by a combination of goalkeeper and defender. Inter Miami have had their moments at the other end, but haven't been able to find a way beyond the goalkeeper, Claudio Ramos. So at half-time in Atlanta, it is Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. And Perry Groves, it's been a really intriguing game, actually. Played at a good pace. Some of the games, understandably, in the heat have been difficult for players, but this has felt a lot more lively.
Yeah, no, I think, as you mentioned, Kev, I think having the roof or over has made a massive difference because, as you said there, the players haven't had a break for obviously take fluids on board. So then you don't get a stop-start first half. So the first half I thought was very fluid, and the difference was in that first 20-25 minutes, Lionel Messi, we thought that he'd be the one that floated, and obviously Suarez will stay a little bit more central. He had probably more touches than any other outfield player in that first 20-25 minutes. And FC Porto didn't really know how to handle him. Then as the game went on, you can bet your life that Martin Anselmi, the FC Porto manager, would have said to Varela and said to Fabio Vieira, one of you has to pick him up. And I could just see 9 times out of 10 it's probably Varela, because he plays obviously a little bit more defensive. But even if he just drifts off of Varela and then he comes into Fabio Vieira, he's the one that then just goes and picks him up. It's not necessarily that you man-to-man mark him. What you do is you just cut off the lines into him and you just limit that space around him, which I thought they did really, really well.
Yeah, Messi with work to do. You are listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport 2, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up at DAZN.com. The second half is coming right up.
Ultimate Sports Radio.
What a moment!
This is Talksport 2. FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport 2. Presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Car owners, you could be owed thousands in compensation. If you bought a car on finance from 2007 onwards, it may have been sold with hidden commissions. Text check to 86688. My Claim Group. Authorized and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. You don't need to use a CMC. You can claim direct to your lender and the Financial Ombudsman for free. Text check to 86688.
Claims made simple.
Oh, bad traffic. Great news, isn't it? More time in the car. Joy. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you don't drive a Lexus NX yet. But when you do, you'll see the positive of peak hour, the delight in a detour, the love of the long way. The Lexus NX plug-in hybrid. Experience amazing before you arrive.
From frontline investigations to the corridors of power, the Times and Sunday Times are on the ground, taking you to the heart of the story for 240 years. So you can keep up on the issues that matter at a time when trusted journalism has never mattered more. And for a limited time only, you can subscribe for just £1 for 4 months. Times change. The Times remains. 18 plus, new customers only. Offer ends 5 p.m. June 30th. £1 for 4 months, £26 a month thereafter. T's and C's apply.
When your deodorant has been reduced to a tiny whisper and tries to tell you,
I'm running on empty. I don't have much left to give.
no need to worry. Your new deodorant is already on its way. Arriving today with Prime. Everyday essentials delivered fast. It's on Prime. Cut-off times and T's and C's apply. See product page when ordering.
Subway knows you love a good deal. So say hello to Sub Yay. Deals that will make you go, yay. Like 10% off your whole order, getting a meal deal upgrade, or buy one, get one free on a 6-inch. That's Sub Yay. Get a fresh deal every week exclusively on the Subway app. Subway, 60 years fresher than ever. See the Subway app for specific offer availability and T's and C's. Freshly prepared per order.
FIFA Club World Cup on 5. The world's best come together to decide the greatest club on earth. 32 teams across the globe compete to be crowned world champions.
Rodrigo, what a strike that was!
Watch the biggest names,
Mbappe,
the biggest clubs take each other on. Who will win the FIFA Club World Cup 2025? Watch, stream on 5.
Countdown is on to a summer of hard tackling rugby action.
Get set for live and exclusive coverage of the entire British and Irish Lions tour of Australia.
Try given!
Kicks off tomorrow night from 8 with the Lions versus Argentina exclusively on Talksport.
On DAB+, online, via the Talksport app and on your smart speaker.
Club World Cup Football. 32 of the world's biggest teams battle across the USA.
From LA to New York, and from New York to LA.
I don't believe it! Absolutely sensational. The FIFA Club World Cup, live and exclusive on Talksport 2.
There was a challenge right on the edge of the area. The Porto player down in the box. And the referee unmoved as wave play on, but I wonder if that's going to be coming back.
Final decision is penalty kick.
So as you hear, the penalty is given. It'll be Samu Agihawa against 38-year-old Oscar Ustari. He steps up, right foot shot and goes in, and Porto have the opener. Ustari got a big right hand to it, couldn't keep it out. And Messi's men are in a hole early on. Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. So Porto halfway to what would be a precious victory at the Club World Cup. If they were to win this one, it would draw them level on points with the current group leaders Palmeiras, who beat Al Ahly 2-0 earlier today. Now, one of the stars from the opening round of games was Manchester City's Phil Foden. He got an early opener in their 2-0 win over Wydad. He became the first Englishman to score in multiple Club World Cups in the process. His role this season for both City and England was a topic of debate earlier this evening, on Drive with Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent.
Takes on the defender, drives the crossing, keeper saves and tucked away by Phil Foden, and Manchester City lead inside 2 minutes.
I put it in my head to start the season off strong, and yeah, I'm happy today that I managed to score, get an assist and help the team win, so yeah, it was really important.
And we were talking about him before kick-off, needing to up his goals and assists, and Phil Foden right in amongst it early on, and Manchester City are a goal in front.
Yeah, Phil Foden scored one, assisted the others. Man City beat Casablanca 2-0. It was live on Talksport 2 last night. Admitted that last season was difficult for him as he nursed an ankle injury and struggled mentally. It took him just, 2 minutes to score City's first goal in the new-look Club World Cup. And with Kevin De Bruyne now gone, many think that this should be the reason that he becomes their main man.
How many times are we going to have this discussion about
here's my question. Let's move it on slightly, because everyone, I'd say 99% of football fans, maybe even higher, 99%, they all know Phil Foden is a pretty much a great player.
Yeah, right? I think he's a very, very,
I'm not talking about world class, but he's a brilliant player.
Yeah.
Right? We know that.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a problem with England because we've got quite a few brilliant players, right? Mm-hmm. If you look at that midfield, where does he fit in? I was going to talk Man City with you, but he doesn't.
No.
So your midfield, right, where everyone's fit.
Well, so if
Declan Rice is holding...
No, he's not holding.
No, but if Declan Rice is holding... But here's my question. It's Bellingham and one other. Is the one other Cole Palmer?
I'd say so, yeah.
It is.
I've do you know what the problem is? Is that I love Phil. Watching him for Man City, not the season just gone, the season before.
Yeah.
He was incredible. He had that finish where he'd get the ball in the corner of the D on the edge of the box, just on that right-hand side.
Left foot.
Open his body out and just whip it into that far top corner. But we haven't seen it enough for England. I mean, I've seen Cole Palmer have moments for England and be very good. I've seen Jude Bellingham, how many times has he done it? We've seen Declan Rice in that holding role, although I don't want to see him holding. I've seen Foden from the left. And I'm a fan of his, right? But at some point, people have got to stop making excuses and going, it's because you play him off the left. Okay, you don't play him off the left, you play him down the middle, and it still hasn't happened. Like I'm yet to see the Phil Foden for Manchester City that plays for England. I haven't seen it yet. Whereas I've seen the same Bellingham for Real Madrid and for England. I've seen the same Cole Palmer for England and...
Yeah, Harry Kane as well.
So I just feel like at times I've seen the same Saka for Arsenal, for England. I just think at times we've got to stop making excuses and going, well, sometimes things just don't fit. Like Scholesy at England, right? Incredible.
Yeah, but that was because the manager got it wrong with trying to get Lampard and Gerrard into the same team.
No, but this is my point. There's three great players there. Someone has to just miss out.
I know, but he was playing Scholes when he was playing the three of them on the left. And that was crazy.
Yeah, and this is my point. I'm saying if Phil Foden... If he doesn't get in his natural position in the team, then he can't play. You can't just shoehorn him in for someone else.
But do you think if now, I expect him to have a run in this Man City side, right, to replace Kevin De Bruyne?
Yeah.
We know he's got the capabilities, right? De Bruyne, unbelievable.
Remember, he had a run before. The season, not the one just gone, the one before when he won PFA Player of the Year.
Yeah.
He made 53 appearances. So he's had a run.
Well, last season he got, 11 goals, 7 assists in all comps.
Yeah.
Right, those numbers don't look terrible. But he still needs to better that, doesn't he?
Well, I think it was just the performances. And maybe last season was a bit different because he came off that season where he was absolutely integral to everything that they did. Maybe that's why everyone expected so much of him. But I'm just saying, the Phil Foden for Manchester City, and I'm a big fan of his. I think naturally he's brilliant. He picks the ball really well. I haven't seen that same Phil for England.
What's his best position?
I think...
Well, you can see the full clip on Talksport's YouTube page, and Drive will return tomorrow from 4 until 7 p.m. So it is 1-0 to Porto at half-time in Atlanta. Kevin Hatchard alongside Perry Groves for this one. And Perry, it was a nice, lively, open game. And it almost had two parts to it, didn't it? It had the first part where Lionel Messi pretty much had the run of the pitch. It had the second part where Porto locked him down.
Yeah, very much so. What they did, they just squeezed his space. We saw Fabio Vieira obviously playing in the central midfield area. He started to be the conductor with the baton, just setting all the passing moves for FC Porto. And the difference in the two sides, Kev, is in the final third. When you look at the possession stats, obviously it's very quite even. But if you look at the touches in the opposition box, then FC Porto come out on top 15-6. And what that means is that their passing quality is better in the final third, and their choice of pass is better in the final third. So that's where you see probably again the difference in quality of the leagues. We saw Messi got a bit frustrated in that after that first 20-25 minutes, where he started to try and force things, where he started to give the ball away because he was trying to make things happen. So I think it's just that little bit of quality in the forward areas, which at the moment is the difference between both sides.
How does he escape the cage, Lionel Messi? How does he find that space again that he was finding early on?
Yeah, I think he can go out more into the wider areas, and have a little bit of interchanging, maybe even with Suarez. Suarez maybe drops deeper and Messi just goes in front of him. Then obviously you got Segovia who's sort of drifting from that left-hand side. So then if he can come in and Messi can go and fill that space over on the left-hand side. So basically, let's be honest, he's playing for Inter Miami. He can actually do what he wants.
Yeah.
Because, and he's got enough game intelligence. And I think that's what Javier Mascherano will be saying to Lionel Messi. Basically, even drop deeper, even come deeper, and probably get the ball off Busquets and try and start the passing moves. But what he's got to rely on, if he does drop a bit deeper, then he's got to rely on the quality of when he actually passes the ball, that the give and go, that he knows he's going to get it back. That's the frustration that he's having, because the players that he's got around him aren't on his same thought level.
Also strikes me that there's a lack of pace in this team. Obviously Messi we don't expect to have out and out pace. He's always been a player who's got that burst of pace, but he hasn't got a lot of runners around him. There's not much of a deep threat, is there?
Yeah, there was a couple of times Kramaski made runs from deep. He got himself in that sort of right hand channel. Kramaski had the best chance for Inter Miami in that first half, where the ball came out to him just on the right hand side of the 18-yard box. And when I'm talking about the quality, he took his touch out of his feet, then you should get your shot away, then he takes another touch, then he actually scuffs his shot, and it's an easy save for Claudio Ramos. But as you say, maybe Mascherano might make a few changes, because you want some runners. Suarez has got in a couple of times where Suarez is very good. He's not going to make lung-busting runs where he's not going to, come in and run in the channel and do 45. But what he's very good at getting on the wrong side of the defender, so the defender can't see him. And we saw that after about 5 minutes where Messi got hold of him and he just tried to dink it over the top, and maybe he was sort of just offside. So there's still a lot of jeopardy in this game, because if Inter Miami can start exactly the same way in the second half that they did in the first half, but when you're on top in games, Kev, what you have to do is you have to score. You have to, make the most of your superiority, because you know full well that FC Porto are going to come back into the game. Inter Miami didn't score, and actually it was actually Aguero who actually scored the penalty, and that seemed to take a little bit belief out of the Inter Miami players.
It's not completely done for Inter Miami. If they lose this one, they can recover if they're able to beat Palmeiras in the final round of matches, but it would leave them a lot to do. So really they need to come back in this second half. What magic can Messi conjure up? It's still there in those boots, but as Perry Groves has said, are the players around him able to take advantage of it. And for Porto, the player that has stood out at times is Rodrigo Moura. As you say, Fabio Vieira has run the game at times. Agahau has been strong and run the channels, but Moura has those little flicks and tricks that get a crowd on the edge of their seats.
What he does very well is he makes sure that when it goes into Agahawa, he gets around him, so he can actually get the layback, so he can have a little give and go, a little 1-2. We saw that Rodrigo Moura actually had the chance where he's had a great little pullback from Agahawa, and then he spins. You think he's going to shoot first, then he takes another touch, goes past Ustari. We're not sure whether it's actually Falcon on the bench or it was Ustari maybe got a little touch and then Falcon, and it stopped obviously in the moment going 2-0 down. But I've enjoyed the game. I mean, a lot of people were sceptical before the tournament. I think the tournament has been, apart from obviously the Bayern Munich against West Auckland game, where you've got basically some sheep farmers, haven't you, and some mechanics and
well, it's a difficult one, that, because they're a semi-pro team, as you say. They're not pros, but if you're looking at that region, because of the way that Australia moved into the Asian Confederation, they have been the Oceania Champions League winners 4 times in a row, so they've earned their opportunity. But then you put them up against Bayern, who are one of the best teams in the world, you're going to get a scoreline like that,
very much so. You know what it reminded me of, Kev? It reminded me of, obviously, when I grew up, the World Cups in like 74 and 78. Yeah. You got the African teams that didn't have the culture and the infrastructure of what they've got now. And I can remember Zaire playing against Brazil, and when you even looked at that, you thought, this is a complete mismatch. So, as you say, they well deserved their place, obviously, because they've won the title in their region 3 times on the trot. But then you hope the money that they get from this, then obviously it goes to them as a club, but maybe it's actually go to the actual Oceania
infrastructure
of the whole association. So the other clubs then, it's, about academies, and then getting the standard of their local players higher and higher. So maybe that money should be spread a little bit more evenly.
Yeah, Bayern with a big win to start off. Michael Elise, the former Crystal Palace player, was particularly good in that game. He's been absolutely exceptional.
What one player would have had the raving up after that game?
Oh, Harry Kane. Didn't get a goal, didn't get an assist.
When I was looking at the game and you see it flash up, it's 1-0 after 2 minutes, 2-0. You think, well, Harry Kane's going to get 2. And you think, well, did they take him off? They didn't take him off until halfway through the second half. And he still did. He would have been, honestly, he'd have been fuming as a centre forward. You don't score out of 10.
He's been Bundesliga's leading scorer in each of the last 2 seasons. Couldn't score against Auckland City. That's sometimes the way it goes. Players slowly getting back to the pitch. Inter Miami were out a lot more quickly than Porto, which suggests that maybe they got a bit of a flea in their ear from Javier Mascherano at half-time. Inter Miami, who won the Leagues Cup in 2023, a tournament involving MLS clubs and Mexican top-flight sides, but it's worth bearing in mind they were only founded 7 years ago, only started playing competitively in 2020. This is a learning curve for them, and they are getting quite the examination and education here against Porto. But can things change for Messi and his men in this second half? Porto, in the blue and white shirts and blue shorts, will play from left to right as we look at it in this second half. Inter Miami, all in pink, playing towards the goal away to the left. It's the goal scorer in the first half who gets us back underway, Samu Agihawa. Can Porto see this through and get 4 points from their first 2 games? And they'll also want to keep back-to-back clean sheets. They only conceded 30 goals in 34 league matches last season, but they did find goals relatively hard to come by. Scored 65 times in the league. That sounds quite good, but then you compare it to the champion Sporting, who scored 23 goals more. Those are the 2 lineups for you in just a moment, as the impressive Francisco Moura takes a touch on the left wing for Porto. He was very good going up and down that flank, but they've given the ball away really cheaply here on the switch to Segovia, who had some nice touches in the first half. He feeds it to the left-hand side to Noah Allen, who gave away the penalty early on from which Samu Agahawa scored the only goal of the game. Here on Talksport 2, Inter Miami 0, Porto 1. Inter Miami, no, they would only have 1 point from 2 games if they lose this one. It wouldn't be a fatal blow, but it would leave them staggering. And there's Busquets in the centre circle. Rodrigo Moura nearly needed a ticket to get back in the stadium there. He just ghosted away from the youngster. Here's Agende. Out to Weigand. He cuts it back and it's volleyed in by Segovia. Boy, they needed that. The perfect start to the second half. Telasco Segovia thrashes in the equaliser. Inter Miami 1, Porto 1.
Kev, we said it was imperative that Inter Miami started really well in this second half. Segovia, emphatic finish. He's actually started to move off where FC Porto gave the ball away very, very cheaply. Then just comes out to Busquets. They work it out to that right-hand side. And then FC Porto don't go and close the ball down. Great little overlap. Vighan just makes sure he gets to the byline, whips the ball across. And then Segovia just carries on his run and he makes sure the ball makes up his mind, hits it first time just as it bounces up on the volley. Fantastic technique with his right foot. Gives Claudio Ramos absolutely no chance eye to his left-hand side. Fantastic start from Inter Miami.
Claudio Ramos, the goalkeeper, didn't even see it. He heard it as the ball whizzed past him and then rippled the net. And Telasco Segovia is only 22. He's a Venezuelan international. He only signed in January from a Portuguese club, joined from Casa Pia, and he's been scoring goals and making goals in MLS this season, and now he has scored on the global stage. And Inter Miami have a goal they so desperately needed, given to them not by Messi, not by Suarez, but by Telasco Segovia, and we are tied at 1-1. And that is a shock to the system for FC Porto. But here's Fabio Vieira. Lovely ball into the penalty area. It's on the byline. Moura's cross towards Agahawa, who couldn't quite win the header. Joao Mario trying to keep it alive, and then a really awkward effort that's volleyed wide of the target by quite some distance from Fabio Vieira. Let me give you those two teams. It's Ustari in goal for Inter Miami. Weigand, Frey, Falcone and Allen, the back four. Agende, Kramaski, Busquets and Segovia, the midfield four. And then Messi and Suarez up front. For Porto, Ramos in goal. Marcano, Zé Pedro and Martin, the back three. Moura, Vieira, Varela and Joao Mario across the middle. And then Rodrigo Moura, Agahawa and Veiga, the front three for the Portuguese Giants, who have been pegged back early on in the second half here on Talksport 2, 1-1.
Yeah, you want players to take responsibility, Kev. Exactly what Segovia did. As I said, it was FC Porto in possession. They gave the ball away really cheaply to Segovia, and he just made sure that as the ball was being built up down that right-hand side, he came in from the left-hand side, timed his run to perfection, and just as the ball sits up, he ends up sweeping it in right-footed, basically on the volley. And you can tell that Xavier Mascherano have said to his Inter Milan side, they've come out and they're playing with the same intensity what they did in the first 10-15 minutes of the first half.
Nice turn by Busquets. He's found Noah Allen. They've got their tails up here into Miami. They have their equaliser. They have their first goal in the Club World Cup. Switch is collected at full stretch on that far side by Frey. Did a good job there. Kramaski involved. Now Busquets with the surge. Was he brought down? He was, by Rodrigo Moura. And it is incredible how quickly things change. It's an old cliche, goals change games, but it's absolutely true.
Yeah, we just said as well, with Leo Messi, how he's going to get himself into the game. Good example there, linking up with Sergio Busquets. Busquets actually going past Leo Messi. And then Rodrigo Moura, a little bit of frustration, just puts his body across quite rightly. The referee, Christian Garay, gives the foul. And you can actually hear it. You can hear the atmosphere in the stadium. It's actually enhanced the atmosphere because obviously Inter have got themselves back into this game. So it's give the crowd a little bit of hope.
And it's a free kick which Lionel Messi stands over. It's a good 35 yards out, maybe a bit more, but he has gone for it, and it curls wide of the post with Claudio Ramos, the goalkeeper, in truth, fairly relaxed about that, but it's a sighter for Lionel Messi.
Yeah, as you said there, Claudio Ramos had a good view of it. Not enough pace on the ball from Messi to trouble Claudio Ramos.
Kramaski with the volley towards the wing, but Segovia couldn't quite take it in stride, but the free kick has gone into Miami's way. Porto still in the dressing room here. They've really struggled in the opening 6.5 minutes of this second half. Live Club World Cup commentary on Talksport 2, and all square now in Atlanta. Inter Miami 1, Porto 1. And here is Busquets, just to the right of the centre circle, forward to Messi. Messi on the charge. Got two players around him, but he's managed to keep possession. So difficult to dispossess, even though he turns 38 next week. Segovia, the goal scorer. Now Messi, edge of the D, finds Suarez. Messi felt he was taken out there, and the referee, he's going to give the free kick, and it's right on the edge of the D, and that's Lionel Messi territory.
Yeah, we said, how's Messi going to get himself into the game? We've seen a couple of times Sergio Busquets get himself on the ball and playing probably 15 yards further up than what he was in that first half, so he's closer to Lionel Messi. He's only probably 10-15 yards away from him, so he can roll the ball to him. This time it was Segovia, great little layoff from Suarez, little 1-2 with Messi. As you see there, just a plethora of bodies. Then Messi just gets body checked by Pedro. As you said there, it's in prime location for Lionel Messi.
Claudio Ramos, the experienced goalkeeper for Porto, looks a little nervous, like many goalkeepers before him, when they watch Lionel Messi place that ball, have a studied look at the goal frame, the wall, the ball, that supercomputer in his brain, calculating it all, the angles, the distance, and the whole stadium waits for the big moment. There aren't many players who engender this level of anticipation from a free kick.
Have you ever seen the ball hit the long barrier laying down behind the wall? Never seen it.
Edge of the D, Lionel Messi, left foot. Oh, it's stunning! Of course it's stunning! Lionel Messi has arrived at the Club World Cup, and Inter Miami have turned it around. It's Messi magic, and it's 2-1.
Come off the hour, come off the Messi. We said it was in his territory, prime location, and you've got to make sure that you deliver. And we said about Claudio Ramos just being a little bit apprehensive, and it's the goalkeeper's side, because Ramos just takes a slight step to his right hand side, then he hasn't got the leverage to go to his left, and just hits into the side netting. Fantastic technique from Lionel Messi. Inter Miami have been absolutely outstanding in this second half, and quite deservedly go 2-1 in the lead.
It's his 50th Inter Miami goal in only his 61st appearance. Lionel Messi still sparkling, and Inter Miami have simply blown Porto away in the opening minutes of this second half, and all of a sudden it is the Dragons who are in big trouble. But it is remarkable, isn't it? I mean, he's done it so many times, and it's so rare to have that with a free kick on the edge of the D, that people expect him to at least hit the target and probably score.
You could hear the air of anticipation in the stadium. You could hear the gasp. So this basically, they think it's like a penalty, and then they're waiting for Messi to deliver, and boy did he deliver. And we said about how can he get himself into the game, and what's happened is Javier Mascherano, the Inter Miami manager, have said, I think that they paid FC Porto too much respect in the last 20-25 minutes of that first half. You've got to get in their faces more, and they've been a lot more confrontational.
Porto have won a corner down the right hand side. Alan Varela takes it, tried to flick it on at the near post, but Martin didn't quite make anything happen there for his team, and Inter Miami trying to break now. The change since the equaliser from Segovia really has been quite remarkable. Now we have a cracker here in Atlanta. Inter Miami were 1-0 down to Porto at half-time. They're now 2-1 up, and we're in the 57th minute. And here is Busquets, who was involved in that first goal in the way that he stepped away from two Porto players and opened up the space.
Well, we said he was playing a little bit further up, a bit closer to Leo Messi. Had a link up with him just before that. That enabled Messi to get the ball for him and then play his little 1-2 with Suarez.
Messi on the move again, down the right-hand side, but I think he knew the flag was going to go up against him. He slowed down, and that flag was indeed raised. You're listening to the FIFA Club World Cup live on Talksport 2, presented by DAZN. Sign up now at dazn.com to watch every game live and for free. Live commentary here on Talksport 2 of what's become a cracking game. Here's Gabri Veiga down the right for Porto. Low ball into the penalty area, and that's swept up well by the impressive Ian Frey. He's only 22, born in the US but qualifies for Jamaica. And now a surging run towards the edge of the area by Agende, but he just couldn't find a way through. Porto got back and closed down the list of options.
It's really good defending from the centre halves of both teams there. The first one was Frey when the ball got whipped across the box. Sometimes you have to defend the space and not the player. It's exactly what Frey did. Made sure he was right in the centre goal between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box, slid in and cut it out. And then we had a brilliant tackle from Meccano there, as you said there, as Inter Miami broke down their left-hand side. It was a crunching tackle from Meccano just to make sure that he quelled the danger.
Martin Anselmi has had enough. He's going to make a couple of changes. Here is Messi, though, just shy of halfway. Picks a beautiful pass out to the right-hand side. Suarez is in the middle if they could find him, and they couldn't. It was cut out at the near post. It was Weigand who tried to find him. And Suarez waited for a pass that never arrived.
We just see there levels different players. Weigand should be putting the ball in first time. Suarez is completely unmarked. Great ball from Messi. If Weigand puts the ball in that first time, Suarez unmarked. He takes the touch. That enables the defender to come back and get in between Suarez and the ball and just negate the danger. But just saying, there's just that little bit of quality that is missing sometimes from Inter Miami in that final third.
Double change coming for Porto. And it is Gonçalo Borges, who's one of the players coming on, and they're going to bring on Steven Eustachio, who is an experienced Canadian international, and they're taking off Gabri Veiga and Martin. Eustachio is a defensive midfielder, really, energy guy in there, and Gonçalo Borges is a winger, can play left wing or right wing. Player who's come through the youth ranks at Porto. Weigand's got a bit of a problem here. The right back for Inter Miami, he's just holding his left hip, just hobbling around. Some decent game, Weigand. He's a player that gave a wholehearted performance as a substitute in the opening game against Al Ahly. He had a good chance actually in that one, and he put it over the crossbar.
I think the word to describe would be industrious.
Yes.
Up and down that right-hand side.
A worker. Maybe not quite the stardust of some of his teammates, but certainly puts in a shift. Here come Porto. So that double change, just to remind you, Gabri Veiga and Martin have come off. So it's pretty much an attacking change, really. Here's João Mario inside right channel for Porto. Plays it across to Fabio Vieira, 40 yards out dead centre. He works it out to the left-hand side, and Francisco Moura back to Fabio Vieira. Porto looking so good at half-time. They had chances to make it 2-0. They hit the post, remember, at 1-0. Alan Varela came very close. But now suddenly they find themselves behind the 8 ball in Atlanta with an hour gone. Cross from the left-hand side for Porto, headed away. But not the best of headers clear. Rodrigo Moura, lovely turn into the penalty area. Brilliant challenge. Just to toe end the ball away from him. He looked for all the world as though he was through, and suddenly Inter Miami said, no, you're not.
Yeah, I think it was an Inspector Gadget leg there from Sergio Busquets. Again, it's experience, just really good timing, because Rodrigo Mora's got really happy feet in around that 18-yard box, had to time it to perfection. Just looking at FC Porto, looks like Estacio, obviously predominantly is a midfield player, but it seems like he's going to go in the middle of the back three, because they want him to get on the ball and get the passing moves going.
Just to start the build-up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Weigand's got a problem again here. He's just gone down, still holding his hip, and so it looks as though Thomas Aviles is going to come on now. He started the opening game against Al Ahly, and he was dropped for tonight's game, and they moved Frey into the middle. So I would suspect that Aviles would go alongside Falcone, and Frey will go back out to right back, but we'll see how that shakes down. But shame for Weigand. He was an Argentinian youth international. He's on loan from Boca Juniors. As you might expect, with Lionel Messi leading the charge, there's a very heavy Argentinian presence. The coach is Argentinian. There's a fair few Argentinian youth internationals that Mascherano would have been aware of that have come in. And poor old Weigand's being helped to the sideline not only by Falcone but by Ustari. And bless Falcone, who was trying to do it all on his own there, and the goalkeeper came across to help. So that is the change. Thomas Aviles, who is only 21. He's another one who's an Argentinian youth international. He comes on. And Weigand has to watch from the sidelines.
Aviles looks like he's about 13.
Yeah. Terrifying, isn't it? How old does it make us feel? The scary thing is, we talk about Messi being towards the end of his career. Still only 37.
What's Ronaldo? 40?
Yeah. Still younger than me. Busquets playing out from midfield, finding Messi. The old Barcelona connection working for Inter Miami tonight. And here is Lionel Messi just trying to jab that forward, but it was well read by the Porto rear guard. Ball's going to come loose for Gonzalo Borges. It's his first chance to have a run at them, and that's what he's capable of doing. And he beat three men there and then went down, and the referee said he was trying to buy that free kick and he didn't give it, and Porto are suddenly short-handed. Messi wide on the right hand side where he loves to operate, just works it in fields. Busquets, he tried to find Messi with the return, but it was too straight and too far, and Claudio Ramos was able to take it.
Yeah, I think Busquets is trying to force it a little bit too much. You see the disappointment from Suarez, because maybe Busquets should just be rolling it into Suarez, but obviously he's trying to get it into his ex-Barcelona teammate Messi on that right-hand side. But the things that happen in Porto are going to have to take more chances, obviously commit more men forward. That's going to suit Inter Miami on the counter-attack. That's going to suit Lionel Messi, because there'll be more space that opens up. There'll be more holes that he can go and operate in.
Lovely switch out to the far side for Francisco Moura for Porto. Down the left. Works it to the edge of the penalty area, but it's good, strong defending as they tried to build down that left-hand side. Francisco Moura was a player that was getting away down that left-hand side a lot in the first half. Haven't really seen that in this second period.
Well, I think what it is, because they haven't been able to get any control of the game. We said in that last 20-25 minutes, there's the man, Pepe, what we spoke about earlier. Probably looking at it thinking, what they need is they need a strong centre-half at the back who goes and heads and smashes everybody.
He could still play. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. There's not a scrap of fat on that man. He could quite happily race onto the pitch.
You just mentioned earlier, Fabio Vieira is the one who's controlling the game in that last 20-25 minutes. They haven't had control of the game. They're coming up to 65 minutes played. And you have to say that is down to Inter Miami imposing themselves on FC Porto.
They've worked it here to Gonzalo Borges, though, down the right-hand side, a little step over. Inside, outside, onto his left foot, high hanging cross to the far post. Rodrigo Moura jumped for it. That was a bit of a mismatch, and the ball just dropped limply into the penalty area for Ustari to take it up. Over on Talksport right now, rugby union is the focus with a British and Irish Lions preview. We'll have live and exclusive commentary of the tour to Australia with former England and Australia coach Eddie Jones part of the team. 66 minutes gone nearly in Atlanta. Inter Miami 2, Porto 1. Porto were 1-0 up at half-time, and they came close to making it 2-0 in that first half. But Inter Miami, with a wonderful volley from Talasco Segovia and a classic Messi free kick, have turned this game on its head, and they have a free kick in the centre circle, which Busquets will take. Rolls it to Kramaski. Don't think was ready for it. He just couldn't quite catch up with it.
I think Busquets actually gave his own player the eyes there. He said Kramaski thought he was going to go out to Frey on the right-hand side, and Busquets has used the eyes and just completely fooled Kramaski's own player.
Supposed to be using his powers for good, not on this occasion. There is Falcone, midway inside his own half. That clearance from Falcone in the first half, very, very important, because had it got to 2-0, you wonder if Inter Miami would have been able to turn this around in the way that they have. As things stand, Inter Miami would go level on points at the top of Group A with Palmeiras, and suddenly they'd be sitting pretty, knowing that all of a sudden a point would do the trick in terms of making the last 16, but it would potentially be a straight shootout for leadership of Group A.
Kev, we said as well, how was Lionel Messi going to get himself in the game? And I said about maybe interchange with Segovia. Exactly what happened. Messi's come out on this left-hand side. Segovia's gone out on the right-hand side, just to cause the back five out of possession FC Porto with a few more problems. At the moment, they haven't had any answers.
Ball is played to Segovia on halfway, and he took a fearsome bump there as he played the switch, but he just gets up and gets on with it. So Lionel Messi, stunning free kick, the difference at the moment. Of course, he played many games with Javier Mascherano at Barcelona. Mascherano said, I've had the privilege of watching his evolution. He's turned from being simply a forward to a complete player. When you have a player like that, you have to give him the freedom to move around to where he can best help the team. And here come Porto, though, with Gonzalo Borges. Gets a low cross in, away by Falcone. It'll come back out to Borges, and he just lets that run.
He's looked quite live on this right-hand side, Borges, a couple of times, a couple of foot overs. He's got a couple of crosses in. Really good defending from Falcone. Again, just making sure that you occupy that space at the near post so the ball can't be whipped across the 6-yard box.
And João Mario to take the throw. Porto, who won the 2004 Champions League under Jose Mourinho. They won the UEFA Cup against Celtic under him as well. Been Portuguese champions 30 times. It is an enormous football club, and they did so want to do well in this tournament, having had domestic dismay, really, watching Benfica and Sporting move ahead of them in the pecking order. They were knocked out by Roma in the Europa League. Here is Falcone, midway inside his own half. 70th minute in Atlanta, in this wonderful stadium. Inter Miami 2, Porto 1. Lionel Messi's free kick, the difference. There is João Mario under pressure, the right back for Porto. Goes all the way back to his goalkeeper, Claudio Ramos. Back out to João Mario, another player who came through the Porto Youth Academy. 25 now, João Mario. 180th game for the club tonight. And here is Zé Pedro, and Porto, almost as if they're having a bit of a collective breather here. Trying to play through the Inter Miami press. There's only so energetic that press can be, because Messi is never going to wholeheartedly join it. Suarez, of course, another one who's getting towards the end of his career, maybe. So it is difficult, isn't it? You're asking those players to sprint and sprint and sprint. They're going to make a change here into Miami. Fresh legs in midfield, and they're going to bring on Federico Redondo. A man with a famous name, and with good reason, son of Fernando Redondo, the Real Madrid legends. And Segovia got a big standing ovation as he went off. That volley early in the second half from him has sparked this incredible comeback.
Yep, it's a good night's work from Segovia. So he's been decent on the ball. Just went into Miami looking for that little bit of inspiration. He's the one you thought it might come from Suarez, you thought it might come from Messi. It actually come from Segovia with a brilliant right-footed volley to get him back on level terms. So Redondo, just like for like substitution, so fresh legs.
So he was lured to Inter Miami by the prospect of playing with Lionel Messi. He's another one that has played for the Argentinian under-23 side. He's a central midfielder. His father was a wonderful, wonderful footballer. So technically gifted, played at such a high level. Here is Zé Pedro for Porto, who are readying another change. Here is Borges down the right-hand side, twisting and turning against Kramaski, who tried to stick with him. Going to bring on the young Brazilian William Gomez. Porto trying to save this game, which has rather got away from them in this second half, is Zé Pedro. Out to William, out to Gonzalo Borges on the right-hand side, onto his left foot. Curling cross is a good one, and the header towards the near post was saved by Ustari. It was Francisco Moura coming in. It was a downward header. Did wonder if that ball just crept over the byline for a corner, but the official said no. And Ustari maybe made a bit of a meal of that, truth be told.
Yeah. Borges doing really well again on this right-hand side, just getting crossing with his left foot. Francisco Moura, false nose and glasses, just coming at the far post. Really should be heading the ball back across the 6-yard box. In the end, it was a very, very simple save from Ustari. I'm just looking at FC Porto, and we said at first half that Fabio Vieira, wasn't he, was the one who was controlling it. For some reason, Martin Anselmi, the FC Porto manager, has put Vieira further out on the left-hand side. And what's that meant is they haven't been able to control the game.
Here come into Miami down the right-hand side. And it was a surging run by Frey down the right, but Marcano came across, played it off him, and it goes out for the goal kick. So here comes the change that we mentioned. William Gomez, just 19, comes on, and it's Varela who makes way. Alan Varela, who is a defensive midfielder by trade, so William Gomez hoping to make an impact here. But Porto need a spark from somewhere. We've barely mentioned Agahawa in the second half. And here they come, Porto down the right-hand side. That's one for Gonzalo Borges to chase, and he will get there. Early cross left by Agahawa. Big opportunity here, but it just got away at the far post, and Ustari is able to gather. It was a first touch for William Gomez, who just came on. Agahawa left it in the middle for him, and his first touch was a poor one, and Ustari able to gather the ball.
Brilliant play from Borges again, just comes short to go long, making sure that he gets the ball into the box nice and early. Agahawa, I think, maybe should be taking a shot on, dummies it, and then William Gomez coming in at the far post. I don't think he really believed that he was going to get the ball. I don't think he really went there with enough intent, and then obviously just gets a little touch on it and goes through to Ustari. But again, it's really good play from Borges on this right-hand side, who has had an impact by simply just getting the balls into the box.
That's the word, isn't it? Intent. He just didn't really have that conviction that he was going to have a chance there. It's worth bearing in mind, actually, 23% of the league goals Porto scored last season came after the 75th minute. And we're moving into that territory now, and they need a goal. Because if they lose this game, they'll have just 1 point from their first 2 matches. They'll face Al Ahly in the final game, but they would need a favour from elsewhere. They'd need to win and hope there was a loser in the game between Palmeiras and Inter Miami.
And they'd both need a draw to go through. with Lionel Messi playing in the last game.
What are you suggesting, Perry?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just factually.
No, that's true.
Saying
right.
that they both need a draw to go through.
Yes.
With Lionel Messi playing in that game.
Forward by Suarez. You old cynic, you Groves. Porto sweeper. Plenty of live games coming your way across the Talksport network when it comes to the Club World Cup, including the game between Chelsea and Flamengo. That's tomorrow at 7. Here's Agende trying to get the better of Marcano. And Marcano did well, swept up there. Yeah, we've got Chelsea against Flamengo on Talksport 2. That's a Talksport 2 exclusive tomorrow. Joe Shannon and the former Chelsea defender Scott Minto on the mic for that one. And early next week we've got Manchester City against Al Ain, and that's a Talksport exclusive, bringing you the games that matter from the Club World Cup between now and the end of the tournament. Foul here on Frey, who managed to get himself in between the player and the ball, as he's done all evening long.
Yeah, it's William Gomez on that left-hand side.
He has, actually given away the free kick.
It's actually refreshing. Both wingers, Borges on the right-hand side for Porto and William Gomez obviously on the left-hand side, were actually just getting to the fullback and trying to go on the outside. And what it does, it changes the angle completely of the rest of the back four, because they have to turn. They don't know what's been in behind them. So Frey just mistimed his tackle there, and William Gomez. So free kick for FC Porto in a very dangerous position.
And it looked initially as though the way that he'd come into the challenge, he'd been the man that might get the decision, but it went the other way. Porto winning that free kick, and changes to come here. And we're going to see Jordi Alba, another of the Barcelona dad's army, to come on. It is remarkable, isn't it? Because if he comes on as he is doing now, and he's just come back from a hamstring injury, it'll be the first Club World Cup game they'll have all played together since 2015. They were all playing in this tournament, not in the same format. It was a smaller tournament then, but they were all playing together for Barcelona at the Club World Cup 10 years ago. And here they are again: Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, Luis Suarez and Lionel Messi.
Well, I think from Xavier Mascherano's point of view, he's putting Jordi Alba on because he wants to get a bit of control of the game. So, because Porto have been dangerous in those wide areas. So obviously Jordi Alba, predominantly a left back.
Yeah, so Frey went in for that challenge to give away the free kick and hurt himself in the process, is going to make way. And Agende is coming off as well, and they're going to bring on Fafa Picault, who came on as a sub in the first game and nearly scored actually with a downward header. And Jordi Alba gets a rousing reception from plenty of the crowd in Atlanta.
So Picault is entering the fray for Frey.
Yes. That's the second play on words tonight. Very good. See, this is why he earns the big bucks.
I can cross that one off now.
Wordsmith extraordinaire. So here we go. Free kick for Porto. It's just outside the penalty area on the left. What can they come up with here? Rodrigo Mora walking away from it. Fabio Vieira's there. Agahara on the edge of the 6-yard box. Played short. Rodrigo Mora with the curling shot. And it's wide of the target. I think it took a deflection on its way through. They worked that really smartly, Porto, but they couldn't find the finish.
Yep. Just trying to change the angle. Just giving Rodrigo Mora that little bit of a chance on the edge of the 18-yard box. Gets his shot in. Slight deflection. Now Fabio Vieira has got to make sure that he misses the first man at the near post.
Raises his right arm, Fabio Vieira, on loan from Arsenal, the number 10. Here it comes, and again hits that near post, easily cleared. Also trying to keep it alive on the edge of the area with Francisco Moura, but it's the pink shirts who clear, and we're ticking towards the final 10 minutes here. This Group A clash in Atlanta. Fabio Vieira on the right for Porto, swinging ball into the penalty area. It'll bounce out to the left edge of the box. Gonzalo Borges drops the shoulder. Rodrigo Mora now skipping into the area, and he's crossed. He's headed wide of the target by Agahara. He was 8 yards out, the kind of chance he would have dreamt of, and he could not find the finish.
Agahara's got to make sure that he hits the target. Really good play from Rodrigo Mora, just make sure he's just dinking the ball up. And Agahawa losing his marker, get himself free, heads it downwards. Ustari then, I think, had a little bit of a panic up because he was quite flat-footed. I think he was relieved to see the ball just go agonisingly past his left-hand post from FC Porto's point of view.
Nearly 81 minutes gone at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This cavernous, modern venue. And that roof being closed has made a big difference. There is Gonçalo Borges for Porto down the inside right channel. The ball breaks to João Mario, edge of the area, but it's swept away. Excellent work on the edge of the penalty area by Noah Allen, who'd come in from left back to deal with the danger. And there's just a problem here for Luis Suarez, who's holding side of his face, the number 9.
I don't know, and I don't want to count my chickens before they've hatched, but I think he's going to be okay.
Is that natural cynicism bubbling over again?
Do you not think that reputation goes before you? Because you know full well, you look at players and he's got the sort of weeping look on his face and all it is a coming together. There's nothing there at all. So he goes down. He'll probably say that he's being very cute because obviously he's taken the impetus out of the game because FC Porto obviously need to get some momentum.
He's a competitor, Suarez, there's no doubt about that. 143 times he played for Uruguay. Of course, he represented Liverpool with distinction season in and season out.
You think he's the king of housery, shall we say?
I think that's the way you could put it.
And he's one of those players that when he's playing against you and he's in the opposition, you can't stand him and you moan and groan, but when he's in your team you love the fact that he's what he can do.
The impressive Gonçalo Borges has just won a corner down the right, and Porto obtained it quickly, and the chance here for Gomez with the left foot shot, and it took a deflection on its way through, and it's going to be a corner. And those two wide players, William Gomez and Gonçalo Borges, have made a difference since coming on, and Porto having a purple patch here as Inter Miami look to see this through. It'll be Fabio Vieira to race across and take the out-swinging corner, left-footed from the far side, the left, as we look at it. Agahawa wrestling on the edge of the area, played in towards Marcano. Brilliant header away by Luis Suarez. He did so well there against Marcano. Now João Mario, little surge down the inside right channel. Nice turn by Marcano, tried to play it for Rodrigo Mora, but he was asking a lot of the teenager there, and the ball skittered away from him for a goal kick for Inter Miami, who are just 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time away from what would be a famous win. Of course, David Beckham so heavily involved in Inter Miami's foundation and subsequent development as the co-owner, and they've made great strides into Miami. Did finish top of the regular season table with a record points tally last season. They were desperately disappointed to lose out in the first round of the playoffs. Something of an irony that one of their biggest results could come in this stadium, because it was against Atlanta United that they went out of the playoffs last season.
Well, this will be, in their short history, this will be the biggest victory in their short. This is why David Beckham obviously could see the appeal of Inter Miami, and he could see, what he could develop the team into. And he knows that you need these big wins to have statement victories.
And if it comes courtesy of a sparkling Messi free kick, all the better. Here comes William Gomez, the teenager, bursting into the area. And who's there to shut the door? Aviles, who's looked solid since coming on. Just came across and with a minimum of fuss, not only won the ball, but took the free kick as well as he was caught. He's looked good since coming on, Aviles.
Yeah, he hasn't looked flustered whatsoever. He said it was William Gomez just breaking with the ball in that inside left position, and Aviles had to make sure that he didn't dive in, which he didn't. Just timed his tackle to perfection. And it's natural what's going to happen is Inter Miami are going to sit deeper, because they realise the significance of this result. You know, even in the stadium they'll realise the significance of the result. So it's only natural that they drop a little bit deeper. So it's imperative that Aviles and Falcon, the two Inter Miami centre halves, that they have good communication between them. When the ball comes into the box, they've got to make sure that one of them's attacking it and the other one's covering.
Forward by Ustari. That's one for Pico to chase. Fafa Pico, who is a Haitian international. And he says that he should get a corner there, and he's going to get one. He pressured the defender, he didn't give that up, and Porto have ended up conceding the set piece.
Pico did really well. That's what you want. Fresh legs, chasing lost causes. Just making sure you don't give FC Porto an easy way out. It looked like the assistant referee on the far side wasn't really sure, Kev, I think, was he? He was just looking at it thinking, did it go out? Did it out? Yeah, it did, and it is the correct decision.
Marcano and Francisco Mora are coming off. Marcano's going to make way for Otavio. Now the other change has seen Deniz Gül, who is a Turkish international striker, come on. And Francisco Mora going off, so they've thrown on a striker to try and save this game. Deniz Gül, who's only 20, but first Messi's going to take this corner from the far side, the right, as we look at it. It goes short, and it's worked back out to Messi, tight to the right touchline. Live Club World Cup commentary on Talksport 2. Inter Miami closing in on a famous win. Jordi Alba trying to race onto the ball on the right-hand side. But Porto able to clear, but not very far. Otavio unable to fully beat the press there. And the ball just spun out on that far side for a throw into Porto. 2.5 minutes of normal time to go in Atlanta. Inter Miami 2, Porto 1. Porto were 1-0 up at half-time. The goals from Segovia and Messi turn the game on its head. Porto's next game against Al Ahly. Inter Miami up against the Brazilian giants Palmeiras in what could be a straight shootout to see who wins Group A. Palmeiras beat Al Ahly 2-0 earlier today. William Gomez trying to advance down that left-hand side. But Pico doubling up with his defender there, helping out. They've worked so hard to try and preserve this advantage. The MLS side. It wouldn't just be a big boost for Inter Miami, it'd be a huge fillip for MLS as well, to get one of their teams beating a European giant, and that's what Porto are. Not perhaps the tastiest of vintages for Porto right now, but still with plenty of talent. And Inter Miami, having disappointed on opening night largely against Al Ahly, have been much better tonight after what was a shaky period in the first half. And you said it, Perry, whatever Javier Mascherano said at half-time clearly worked.
Yep, they come out with a lot more intent at the beginning of the second half, so they got a lot closer to FC Porto in their faces, making sure they was engaging them when they was out of possession. But in possession, Busquets and Messi got a little bit closer together. And what they did, which they didn't do in the first half, when they had that domination, they actually took advantage of it. And obviously it was Segovia who got the brilliant equaliser. Then that gave the team and the supporters in the stadium a massive lift. And then we saw the magic of Messi.
Fabio Vieira's ball into Eustachio, lays it off, and Agahauer over the top. It was a tough chance, but it was a chance. And the best ones for Porto in this second half have fallen to him, and he hasn't been able to take them.
No, yes, they had a header like 5 minutes before we should be hitting the target. Fabio Vieira just easing the ball into the box. Comes back to Agahauer, and he's got to make sure that his balance is better. He's got to make sure that he gets his knee over the top of the ball, and again, worst ways out, he hits the target and just smashed it over the crossbar.
There's a nervous murmur among the Inter Miami fans because the board's just gone up for the amount of stoppage time. 7 minutes we are going to have. And Inter Miami know what separates them from a big win on the global stage, and tournament like this, which has been newly expanded, which is one that hasn't quite caught everybody's imagination. Tournament like that needs moments, and it's certainly got one with that Leo Messi free kick, which has put them in front. If that proves to be the winning goal, that's a story that can be told all around the world. And that is what FIFA want, it's what Inter Miami want.
I think Mr. Infantino will be sitting in the director's box. His Messi didn't get down quickly enough to the fourth official with the 7 minutes.
Ball is loose here on the edge of the Inter Miami penalty area, and they gave it away cheaply there. Groans from the Inter Miami fans, and Moura trying to advance down the left-hand side, runs out to Broom. He's had some really eye-catching moments, Rodrigo Moura, in this game, but it could be part of a losing cause. Long throw from the left for Porto towards Agahara. He gets the flick on, it breaks loose, and the shot was hit with real venom and was well blocked. It was William Gomez who had the effort, really caught it sweetly on his left foot, but Inter Miami had enough pink shirts back there to preserve their leads. Messi finds Busquets. And this is where the quality does make a difference. That calm from Busquets, the calm from Messi to keep the ball in dangerous moments where you need to manage the game. Well, how many times have Busquets and Alba and Suarez and Messi been able to do that down the years? Inter Miami won a free kick, they're not going to get one. It was Redondo who went down, but Porto have the chance to bring it forward, but they're running out of time, the Portuguese Giants. The Dragons need to breathe fire, and they need to do it now, but it's a really poor ball out to the left, wayward, and goes out for an Inter Miami throw, and they will take their time.
Well, Javier Mascherano, the Inter Miami manager, has gone into basically a flat back five, with Alan just going a little bit more central, Jordi Alba on that left-hand side. And we see there, man of the match. Didn't take a lot of working out, Kev, really did, to be fair.
That Messi fella, he's won a few of those down the years. Although he might not be Perry's man of the match, you'll have to wait for that. Perry might go rogue, who knows. Here is Moura, left edge of the penalty area, Rodrigo Moura, and he twisted and he turned and suddenly found that he was closed down. And Inter Miami tried to play the long ball to Messi, and Messi, with the best will in the world, was never going to catch up to that. So Pedro brings it out from the back for Porto. 3.5 minutes left to save them from what would be a damaging defeat in Atlanta. Gonzalo Borges, twisting, turning, looking for space, lays it off. Otavio with a left foot shot, he hit that, but blocked by Jordi Alba. If Porto lose this, their fate is out of their hands. A draw on the final match day between Inter Miami and Palmeiras would leave them with their faces pressed up against the glass. There'd be nothing they could do, but here come Porto. Left edge of the penalty area. William Gomez gets the cross in, it's too close to Ustari, who's able to stretch up above his head and make that claim. And he goes to ground. And Inter Miami breathe a collective sigh of relief.
Yeah, he's looked really lively, William Gomez, on that left-hand side. Again, gone on the outside of Kramaski this time. Just needs to dink it a little bit higher. Good goalkeeping from Ustari, who was outstanding, obviously, in the first game against El Ali. Obviously, get Inter Milan there, 0-0 draw. And you have to say, you said he's 38, isn't he, Ustari?
Ustari, yeah.
Yeah. He's just looked very composed, you know, as a goalkeeper, especially if you've got young players in front. Obviously, Frey's gone off at the moment, like young player playing at centre-half. If you've got a goalkeeper who's a calm assurance behind you, that spreads itself through the back five. It's the back five at the moment, obviously, if they're into Miami, because they're sitting a little bit deeper with Jordi Alba coming on. But he just looks very, very calm.
He made 3 appearances for Sunderland many moons ago, Oscar Ustari. 2 minutes of stoppage time to go. Inter Miami close to a famous win that would propel them towards the last 16. Pumped long by Otavio for Porto. Down the left-hand side, the far side as we look at it. But again, Busquets is there just to sweep up, do the dirty work in there. But Fabio Vieira nutmegs one player and then got delusions of grandeur. Tried to play the ball with the outside of his boot and it went straight out of play.
Jordi Alba's really experienced. Why is he jogging after the ball like sort of half pace? Just have a little Leslie Stroll. You're not in any hurry to take the throw in.
Final minute of stoppage time. Played through the middle. It might run loose here for Pico. Pico turns, left foot shot, great save. Claudio Ramos. I think they were just waiting. Seemed to stop there, Porto. Pico made the space for the shot. Here's Messi. Can he finish it? Into the area, away from two. But the angle was tight. Ramos able to make the save. The ball spins behind for a corner. And Porto are getting that sinking feeling because they know they're running out of time.
Yeah, it was a great little ball to the outside, his right foot from Sergio Busquets to Lionel Messi. Just had a little check, see if it's offside. Comes to Pico. Really good check back. Big save from Claudio Ramos. Then comes to Lionel Messi. Tries to go on the outside, and the angle's just too acute for him to try and dink it over Claudio Ramos.
Jordi Alba will take his time. We're beyond the 7 minutes here. Into Miami, 2-1 up against Porto, having had to come from behind. And it is all over. And Inter Miami take a giant stride towards the last 16, courtesy of a sprinkling of stardust from Lionel Messi. His glorious free kick proved to be the winning goal after Talasco Segovia had come up with an equaliser early in the second half. Samu Agahauer had put Porto in front early on from the penalty spot. They hit the post in the first half. They had other chances as well. But Inter Miami came roaring back after half-time. And the final score, Inter Miami 2, Porto 1. Inter Miami go level on points with Palmeiras at the top of Group A. Porto know that they will have to win their final group game and hope for a favour elsewhere. And Perry Groves, it was a stunning comeback from Inter Miami.
It was actually a brilliant game. You know, both teams, we said in the first half, were committed to going forward and trying to win the game. And Inter Miami lost control of the game halfway through the second half, went in 1-0 down. Agahauer obviously scoring the penalty for FC Porto. And then we were thinking, Kev, we were talking about how they're going to get themselves back into this game. So Javier Mascherano said to his players, I think you've given too much respect in that last half of the second half where you've got to get closer, you've got to go and close down. Busquets just played 10-15 yards a little bit further up than what he did in the first half. That enabled him to get connections with Lionel Messi and Suarez. And you're looking for somebody to take responsibility and give you that bit of inspiration, and it comes from Segovia because FC Porto were in possession. They gave the ball away to Segovia in the middle of the park, and he made sure that he kept the ball going. He got himself into the 18-yard box when the cross came in. As the ball sat up, he hit it on the volley. He swept it past Claudio Ramos, gave him absolutely no chance. And that is exactly the lift they wanted. That was in the 47th minute. And then again, good link-up play from Busquets to Messi into Suarez, a little layoff back to Lionel Messi, gets fouled in the D, edge of the 18-yard box. And you said yourself, Kevin, commentary, this is Lionel Messi territory. Prime location is exactly where he wanted it. Claudio Ramos, the goalkeeper, sets his wall up and it goes in the goalkeeper's side. So he didn't take a big step to the right-hand side, but what he did, goalkeepers jump. They obviously jump to try and see the ball. And what that means is if you just jump at the wrong time, then you can't get the leverage to spring to your left-hand side. And it's exactly what happened. And obviously Messi just bent it brilliantly in the top left-hand corner from Claudio Ramos' point of view. Puts into Miami 2-1 up. And then it's about game management. And to be fair to FC Porto, Martin Anselmi, their manager, he put on Borges, he put on William Gomez in the wide areas, and they look very lively. And it was Agahauer, obviously their top scorer last season, 25 goals, had 2 brilliant chances, one with a header that he should have hit the target, another from a volley on the edge of the 18-yard box, hits it over the crossbar. And you have to say, on the balance of play, that Inter Miami were probably deserved winners.
Feels like a big win for Inter Miami tonight, doesn't it? Because not just for them, but for MLS as well, because there's a temptation to be quite Eurocentric about it sometimes, but for clubs like them, this is an opportunity on the global stage. They've absolutely taken it.
Yeah, very much so. And we were sceptical of how they got there, obviously because they won in inverted commas, cup competition to get themselves into this competition. And this is the biggest win in their history, because FC Porto are an established Champions League side. You know, they come third in Premier League in Portugal. So, this isn't just like an also-ran they've beaten. So this is a massive statement win from Inter Miami's point of view. And Busquets came more into it in the second half. He talked about, your experienced players. Suarez made sure he did what Suarez does, just buy in fouls just to stop the momentum of FC Porto. And it was I'm pleased as well, Kev, because there's been a bit of derision about the competition, about how the standard football's going to be. That was for a group game, the second group game, that was a game of a very high standard.
Yeah, it was.
Very high standard. And the tempo and the roof being closed makes a massive difference. So going forward, you probably think the organisers are going to say, right, we're going to 9 times out of 10 we'll close if the stadium's got roofs on it, we'll close them, because the pace of the game is far better.
Well, time now to pick our man of the match, all thanks to DAZN.
Man of the Match on Talksport 2, presented by DAZN. Watch every game of the FIFA Club World Cup live and for free on DAZN. Sign up now at DAZN.com.
Perry Groves, a tough decision for you, or maybe not so much?
No, do you know what? Lionel Messi was given man of the match, obviously, by the organisers, by FIFA, but I'm going to go a bit left field, actually. I'm going to give it to Maximiliano, because I just wanted to say his name.
Yeah.
Falcon, because I thought he was outstanding at centre-half for Inter Miami. And you mentioned games have moments where they turn on them, and the one in the first half when Inter Miami were 1-0 down and Ustari's beaten and it looks like it's Falcone on the line who actually headers the ball off the line, that's massive, because if they go 2-0 down, the game's done and dusted, basically. But I just thought he had different centre-half partners. Obviously, at first it was Frey, then Avilés came on, then he played next to him. But he was just sort of that rock, and he had a load of defensive moments where the ball was coming into the box, and he made sure that marking the space, which just shows you like game intelligence, So I thought throughout the whole, obviously Messi had the massive magical moment, but I'm not being funny. You sort of expect it from Lionel Messi.
Yeah, standard.
But the performance from Maximiliano Falcon, I thought was outstanding through the whole game, so I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah, and he's recovered after what was a bit of a shaky display in the opening game, so well done to him. That was our man of the match with DAZN.